My name is Jordan Daly, and I play two roles. I'm working with Communitere here on the ground to guide and facilitate launching the project. So from a partnership perspective and an overarching scope perspective, and then also looking at that within the context of Communitere International and how this particular space and project fits in within the overall scope. Yeah. So I lived in New York City for 15 years. My background is building brands and building companies. So I worked with a lot of fashion and large consumer brands and was in the role of strategy, but also a lot in the role of facilitation and mediation. So whether it was a smaller startup or a very large, multi-million-dollar company, a lot of times my role was to get everybody on the same page. So how to find this common ground among all these different people and all of the different departments so that everybody was able to create a sense of unity to be able to go out and communicate what they were meant to do. So I feel that that's a skill set that I'm now able to apply in a different context and a more meaningful context for me. I met Sam, who started Communitere. We connected in 2010. We were on different projects in Haiti. And so we've sort of been doing this parallel dance, although never working together, prior to now in Greece. And I feel that the vision that Communitere is holding and iterating at every turn is very aligned with what I believe needs to happen within the sector.
What an amazing transfer of skills, as including and cultivating them in an entirely different field, and then letting them flourish where they're perhaps most needed. Please share some insight on your previous work in communities around the world, as well as just mentioned Haiti.
I went to Nicaragua probably about 6 years ago and had a very life-changing trip. I would say I really discovered humanity on that trip, and that's kind of when I realized that this skill set of building brands was able to be taken and applied in a different context. So after that trip, I started my own fund and was working with NGOs on the ground in Nicaragua, in Philippines, and in Haiti, really to help them assess local economic viability. So going into a place like the Philippines that had just come out of the worst typhoon they've ever had, and going to a place called Capiz where the entire economy was run on agriculture, but because of the typhoon, the city was underwater for 72 hours and lost all of their ability to produce agriculture. So it was then that I learned that creativity is blossoming in a point where you are forced to look at what the resources are you have around you naturally. So that was a lot of my role within the NGO sector and after natural disasters. But I do believe that there's a very similar opening and space here to do that. I mean, within Communitere, it is such a creative space. It's built on creativity. It's built on community-led innovation, community-led design, community-led roles which allow people to self-realize and then be able to develop and build and sustain within their own environment.
Please share us some insight about the current experience of Thessaloniki. What does it feel right now to work with communities of refugees within the city?
So the city itself, yeah. So I've spent time in other areas of Greece, and Thessaloniki it reminds me a bit of a San Francisco slightly. I'm a New Yorker for 15 years, so being able to walk everywhere is really incredible. And I feel that when you're in a city where you're able to walk everywhere, you have these beautiful moments of looking up. When you've walked down the same street 20 days in a row, you look up and you can see something different that you haven't seen before. So I've found a number of those different spots within Thessaloniki that I've been able to do that. As far as the community itself and the people itself, I think the people here are wonderful, and I've had nothing but a very positive experience. I will say that as far as the dynamic between local Greek community and the refugee community, the refugee community, for all intents and purposes, is still quite removed from the city, right? And you could say this about any city. There's usually the disenfranchised or marginalized, or a refugee community is on sort of the periphery or on the outskirts. So, I've been able to feel that when I've taken a day or taken time to actually go into those different communities. But as far as, being within the bubble of the city, I don't necessarily know that I feel it in a vibrant way. And I do feel that it's a process, and it's such an interesting phase right now that we're in, because within the refugee landscape, it's kind of, we're past the disaster damage control, and it's now about the psychosocial support and the integration. So I think that there are many actors here on the ground, and partners of ours, and including Artbox, including Artecitya, that have come together as a way to start to shift this paradigm, because we know that it's everybody's responsibility to create community. It doesn't just lie within the humanitarian aid sector. It doesn't just lie with the NGO to be responsible. So I feel that, and I feel that in this space, and I feel that that is where the many different partners that are here are eager and looking to support that.
It was an honor to have you here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.